Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order, welcome to Panwo TV. And as you can see, I'm in this place called Bingham Linear Park. It's in Bingham, Nottinghamshire, and it's, as it says, it's a nature reserve and park built along this path here. But what's interesting is that the path runs along the top of a kind of a dike or berm, which is about 12 feet high, which is where we are now. You can't see it really because of the vegetation on either side, but it runs along the top of an embankment. But this is this berm or dike, which is it's actually artificial. It's been dug, and it runs completely straight for about 600 yards. It's very long. And you can actually see it on Google Maps. It's at Bingham in Nottinghamshire, and it is actually visible from space. It's quite something, and must have taken quite a lot of work. Now, earthworks like this, of course, are not uncommon, and you do get them from time to time and place to place. But the reason I brought you here is I want to talk to you about a series of very strange ones that have recently emerged. In fact, one has just come out in the news recently, and it's just one of many I want to show you. I've got some photos of them as well to show you. And there's a curious pattern emerging here. Right. I'll post a link to an article on her Panwo Voice in the description box, which will tell you a little bit more about what I'm planning on doing. But it's a lovely spot here, actually. It's the kind of place Slaxer would go to if Slaxer ever went on tour. But this is a picture of an earthwork which came to my attention a couple of days ago. I don't know how much of that you can see. I'm just trying to get the reflection out of the way. But if you can't see it, hopefully you'll see that it's actually a pentagram or pentacle, pentagonal, whatever you call it, pentangle. And it is on the shores of a reservoir near a place called Lisatovsk, which is in Kazakhstan, in northwest Kazakhstan. It's very, very strange. It was discovered. No one knows where it came from or who built it. It's in a very, very sort of remote and inaccessible part of the world, Central Asia. It may well date back to the Soviet times, because Kazakhstan, of course, was part of the Soviet Union in those days. The pentagram, of course, is an ancient esoteric symbol. It's familiar to people familiar with who know about Wicca, neo-paganism. But it has two. It's a left-hand path pentagram. In other words, it has 2 points sticking upwards, making the symbol resemble the head of a goat, which is known as the sigil of Baphomet. And that's quite sinister, because this thing is huge. It's actually, I think someone said it was 1,400 feet across, which is enormous. Its purpose, no one knows why someone built it or not. I think, if it was just this one incident, I think I could perhaps agree with them that there's really nothing significant about it. But there's more. There's a lot more going on. I'll show you. Let's go back to a different picture. Let's find ourselves another picture, because here's a wider angle view of that pentagram. There it is. You see, it's on the shores of a lake, a reservoir called the Tobol Reservoir in Kazakhstan. That's 1,400 feet across, that thing. It's huge. Who built it and why? It's a sigil of Baphomet on the shores of a lake in Kazakhstan. Very, very strange. And this came to my attention. Just let me get these pictures. Come on. Thing won't work when you want it to. Come on. Oh, here we go. All right. And this came to my attention when several years ago I was watching a documentary, and I've checked through my notes and it's there. And I found something similar. In fact, there's another event very recently which is very similar. But the first of these strange incidents that I'm talking about, actually concerns a place in eastern Russia. It's actually on the shores of near the shores of the Caspian Sea, near Astrakhan. It's called Kapustin Yar, and Kapustin Yar is actually a highly secretive military base. It's the Russian equivalent of Area 51. Kapustin Yar was founded a few years earlier than Area 51, actually 1946, to test, like Area 51, for the testing of aircraft, missiles, and intelligence to do with spy satellites, things like that. It was completely left off all the Soviet maps. It was founded in 1946, right in the heart of the Soviet Empire, when the Soviets were at their peak. And of course, as with Area 51, there's lots of there's an awful lot of rumour coming out about UFOs. Lots of UFOs seen by the side of Kapustin Yar. There's also rumours that there was an underground base, just like Bob Lazar, and he talks about S4. There's rumours of a base underneath, a secret base underneath Kapustin Yar. Kapustin Yar is no less secret now, of course. Since 1990, or the late 1980s, and eventually 1990, when the Soviet Union fell, the Cold War's over. Russia today is a post-communist Russia, has been for over 20 years, but Kapustin Yar is still secret. Nothing much seems to have changed there, which of course brings us into the bigger subject of, how regimes come and go, yet these secrets remain. Secret policies remain in place even though there's revolutions and coups and things like that. If the United States fragmented and balkanised, then I'm sure Area 51 would remain. But then, anyway, back to the subject in hand. The underground base is known as Zitkor, and it's named after a village. It was actually demolished to create the base of Kapustin Yar. And rumour has it there's underground chambers there with UFOs from various Roswell type incidents that have happened over the years in the Soviet Union and since. And I think, the evidence coming out of Russia, there's an enormous amount of evidence of Roswell type events and other UFO type events coming from that area. In fact, Philip Mantle wrote a book about UFOs in Russia. I can't remember the title, unfortunately, but it's a very, very good book. I do remember it, I do recommend it. And he wrote it with Paul Stonehill. Paul Stonehill is a great Russian ufologist. Despite his rather English sounding name, he is Russian. I expect his real name is Pavlov Stonehill or something like that. Anyway, one of the strange things, the reason I brought up the subject of Kapustin Yar is spy satellites, satellites, not just spy satellites, but the U-2 spy plane, before it was discovered what happened is in 1960, of course they flew over Kapustin Yar and took photographs, and one of the photographs was this. I don't know how much of that you can, right. Now this is an earthwork, it's a symbol carved onto the land. You've seen that there. Now, no, I don't know how big that is, but it's huge. You can see there are buildings actually within it. As you see there. Isn't that strange? That is very odd. Now that is, again, what purpose they serve, no one knows. In fact, what's that? That's a bridge. I must say, I've never been along this park before. Shall I go up there and see? I don't know where they got to the top of the bridge and see what's there. I'll carry on straight along. I'm curious. I think that's just a road up there. I don't want to carry on along here because I am making a film. I mustn't forget that. So again, you get these strange symbols carved on the ground. It's very, very odd. I mean, there was an article about this, I think, in the Telegraph or something about this symbol, and in Kazakhstan, and someone wrote it. Someone wrote in from who runs a science blog, who said it's something to do with the space centre, because the space centre, the Baikonur Cosmodrome, because nearby in Kazakhstan, well, it's not nearby, but it's still within the general area. You have the world's biggest space launch facility, Baikonur, which was the first one which launched Yuri Gagarin and Vostok into space, and Sputnik and things like that, and they were, and he said it's maybe something to do with that. Now I'll come back to this later, because another of these earthworks has appeared and a similar explanation has been brought. I mean, this man said it was something to do with, he said it was some kind of radar facility. Why it would be in that shape, I don't know. He doesn't really explain. It's all a bit odd, isn't it? And it gets odder because a little bit later, hang on. Oh, this is clever. Right, yeah, that's it. A couple of years ago, word reached me via a man called Nick Pope, who you might know. He's a nice guy. I get on all right with him, but I know he's not popular in the truth UFO world. Oh, damn this thing. Wait, that's it. Now that way. Oh, that's it, right. And word reached me through Nick Pope and an article in The Sun of strange symbols that have been found carved in China. Now, these symbols have been carved onto the land in exactly the same way, and I wrote an article about this at the time because I remembered hearing about the strange symbols carved into the land at Kapustin Yar, these huge earthworks. And here they are, right? I've got to make sure you can see this. All right, let's get them. Can you see them? Right, these are some of them. Now those look a little bit like airfields to me. Okay, so it could be like a runway or something like that. But look at this. That's not a runway. That is not a runway, and it's not an airfield. It looks like a crazy paving pattern. What the hell is that? What on earth is that? And it's strange. Now that is huge. I mean, I heard somewhere that is several miles across. And it's just been scratched out of the ground in the Gobi Desert. Isn't that weird? Now the strange things about all these structures is that they can only be seen in their entirety from very high altitude, high flying aircraft, or from space. If you're on the ground and you're within them, you won't be able to see them properly. To give you an example, I mean, if you go to Google Maps or Google Earth and you look at the Bingham Linear Park where I am now, you'll be able to see much more of it than I can right now. See, that's the earthwork up there, you see. You'll see very clearly there's a distinct straight berm or dike that's been dug out of the ground. Whereas I can't see anything except the path really and some trees. And these symbols that are carved into the ground in Russia and in China and Kazakhstan are exactly the same. Very, very strange. And it seems that that area seems to be the centre of where these weird things happen. That region, Central Asia, Russia, China, or Northwest China, you know, the Gobi Desert, which is right in the centre of the Asian continent. It's about as far from sea as you can possibly get. Now, I mean, there's a rumour going around that some artist did it because he wanted to. This was just after the Chinese started launching men into space, and this artist wanted to produce a pattern, like a work of art, which they could see. I don't buy that particularly. Doesn't quite make sense because no one knows who this artist is. No one knows. I mean, the Chinese government haven't commented on what this is. What is it? I don't know. But it reminds me of something, if you're familiar with ancient mysteries in the ancient world. The Nazca lines in Peru. Now, these are very old. In fact, they're almost 2,000 years old. But someone did something very similar in the dry Atacama Desert of Peru. The same place they found that little thing that Stephen Greer talks about, the little Atta, that tiny little being that some people say is an alien. Atacama Desert, very dry, no rain, and very little wind. And someone decided to create these earthworks there called the Nazca lines, these amazing lines that again can only be seen from a very high altitude or from space. Extremely odd indeed. Now, why would people want to create, you know, images on the ground that can only be seen from a very high altitude or from space? That's a question. Whether you're talking about ancient Peru or modern China and Russia and Kazakhstan. Very, very good question. And to be honest, I don't know. I was hoping some of you people out there might know and leave some comments in the comments boxes like you do. I'd be really interested to know what you think. But I mean, there's so much secrecy involved in this. I mean, as I said, Kapustin Yar is as secret as Area 51. The Gobi Desert is virtually, you know, it's one of the least visited places on Earth. This sort of northwestern region of China is almost unknown to the outside world, and yet they're creating these huge. Oh my God! I'm going for a tunnel now. Oh, I'm going through a tunnel. Yeah, and they're creating these huge patterns on the ground, these earthworks that can't even be seen unless you're flying above them very high. Very strange situation indeed. So I'm rambling a bit, aren't I? So I'm nearly through this tunnel now. It's a tunnel going under the road. Are they trying to signal aliens? Are they trying to signal to somebody out there looking down on the Earth? If they were, then it would make sense in a way. If you wanted to signal to someone out in space, you'd want to put some very prominent markings that they could see very easily, which these symbols are. You also want to put them somewhere where they could be found easily, which will sort of draw the eye. Now, maybe that's anthropomorphizing slightly, but all these images I've just shown you are in the center of the world's biggest landmass, Asia, this huge continent. So it makes sense you'd put them there. I don't think we've got the answers yet. I don't know if we'll ever get the answers. Maybe Philip Mantle or Pavlov Stonehilov can help us. Be interested to know what they think if they watch. I don't know Paul Stonehill, but I do know Philip Mantle. I'll ask him. Well, one more strange thing. Of course, another strange thing has happened in this huge region of Asia, and of course the northern part of that continent is called Siberia, which is where you had the Tunguska explosion. But that's not the only mysterious thing to be found in Siberia by far. There's something called the Patanovsky. Hang on, let me just get the right place. The Patanovsky crater. This thing. Now that looks very strange. It looks like kind of molehill, doesn't it? Or one of those piles of dirt that rugby players use to kick a rugby ball. It's just sitting in the middle of a lawn or grass or something, doesn't it? Well, it's not. That's not grass, you can see there, that green stuff. That is actually trees. It's a forest. Let me see it better there. How much this you can see, I hope you can see it. That there. No one knows exactly what that is. Claims that it may be some kind of meteorite impact, maybe volcanic. There's various different theories, different geologists have different ideas. But no one knows sure exactly what the Patamovsky crater is. Potomsky, sorry, the Potomsky crater. Not quite sure exactly what it is. It doesn't quite fit any of those things, but it's not that old. I mean, they reckon it's about maybe 400, 500 years old. But it's just sitting there in the middle of this wood, just like it's just someone's just put it there. It's huge, actually. It's about 150 feet high, apparently. And again, it's not been studied that carefully because it's in such a remote location. People aren't exactly sure, you know, how to get there. It's not easy to get to. And a lot of these things are in extremely remote and inaccessible spots. But, isn't it weird? I mean, the jungle surfer, I mean, this is what I want to talk about, the jungle surfer, because, as I said, in Kazakhstan, this pentagram near Lysakovsk in Kazakhstan is this left-hand path pentacle with the two, you know, the sigil of Baphomet. When it has one point going up, that means it's positive, it's white magic, it's the forces of good. If it has 2 points upwards, it's the sigil of Baphomet, it's black magic. Now, in this case, it's a satanic symbol. I saw an article the other day saying, "Oh, don't worry, it was just a military camp under construction." This was posted in a newspaper. No one, they don't provide any source. They don't explain exactly how they know that. They say, "Oh, don't worry, it's a military base under construction and it was abandoned, etc." Well, no, I don't buy that. It's just 2 sentences long, this little paragraph. It's just crazy. I'm gonna go up here and have a look, see what's up here. Anyway, I just want to explore now. The reason I want to talk about Jungle Surfer is because he has uploaded a video which is all about this place in Kazakhstan. What's it called? So I've got a mind lock, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, it's the new purpose-built capital city of Astana, that was it. Astana, it's called. Astana in Kazakhstan. It's the new purpose-built capital of Kazakhstan. Here we are. Blimey. Any crop circles in this field, I wonder? And there's a little bridge. Well, it's all overgrown. I don't know if you can get through there, but Astana is like this really super modern city that has been built out of nothing, and it's full of all kinds of symbolism. And Jungle Surfer was saying how it's like Canberra, and I mean, even before he said that, I'd already thought that, because I've been to Canberra, which is the purpose-built capital of Australia, and it was weird and symbolic as well, creepy, you know. And so I thought to myself, yeah, it's a beautiful spot here. It's very slackser, this image, this shot I'm doing now. Very slackser indeed. So Astana is this purpose-built town. I mean, to me it looks like Milton Keynes, and I've mentioned Milton Keynes before. I'm going to go back to Milton Keynes very soon, actually, and do some more filming there. But you get this symbolism, and Jungle Surfer talks about that in his video. I'll put this as a response to his. I'll put a link in the description box to his video anyway. And it's very, very strange that this Astana, with all its Illuminati symbolism, has been built at the same time that this strange pentagram has appeared. Even though that pentagram is probably a lot older. Astana, like I say, is a new construction. The pentagram probably dates back to Soviet times, maybe even earlier. No one knows. No one knows exactly what the pentagram is. But it's very, again, you get this Illuminati symbolism, this satanic imagery, things like that, all appearing at once. Very, very odd. Anyway, I shall look into this. I shall look into try and do some more research and see if I can find anything out. I'll ask Philip Mantle what he thinks, and I'm going back now, and I shall keep you updated with anything I find out. In the meantime, I shall see you again soon, and I hope some of you can come to my live show on Tuesday in Birmingham Truth Juice. If not, I shall see you in the comments boxes anyway. So thanks for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order.